So since you are on, you can take over for the next presentation, Next Gen Payments.
Sure. All right. Hope you can see my screen and you can hear me clear and loud. Okay. So let me know if you cannot hear me. First of all, congratulations, Suresh, on completing another year of service in enterprise architecture space. This is fantastic. It had been a privilege and an honor being associated with you, SNA Tech, and being part of the training journey along with you as well. And thanks for the opportunity to present on this topic on this forum as well. So without any ado, considering the time 20 minutes, let me try to wrap up as much as fast as possible and take the questions. So to begin with, just a little introduction about me. I had been in the industry for the last 25 years in banking and financial services space. I had been working with banks, card network companies. I had been working with fintechs and also major financial institutions other than banks in most of the geographies, starting with Africa, Australia, all the ASEAN countries, Canada, Middle East, India, and the US. So this is a brief introduction about me. You can look at my profile on LinkedIn for more details and you can connect with me as well. So first of all, state of payment innovation is something which is interesting part. So payments are becoming immediate. They are becoming invisible. They are inclusive. And most of the countries, the payment processing is becoming free. So that's very important observation that you can think about. So they are becoming immediate, invisible, inclusive, and free. So most of you would be experiencing this in one form or another. So think about booking an Uber in the US. You just know how you have picked up your phone, initiated a cab request in the Uber application. And after that, you don't even bother to see whether the payment has been done by you or not. And you just walk out of the cab. So you can see that payment has become commoditized in that fashion. Second thing that has happened in the recent past is the pandemic. The pandemic has made the payment cashless, contactless, cardless, and some of the places it has become virtual as well. So if you see, people are not ready to even to touch the point of sale terminal keyboard to enter the PIN. So that is a level of scare that had gotten created because of the pandemic. So as a result, there are a lot of adjustments that need to be made in the payments ecosystem, the payments architecture, the payments technology, the way they work. And it is a serious disruption, the way you buy, the way you receive money in the market. So for this, it's an important consideration for the customer. It's an important consideration for the merchant. It's an important consideration for the banks as well. So what can be felt from the customer pulse? I had been doing some little research in terms of what is happening as a result of the pandemic. So if you see that since 2017, cards had been predominantly in use. Now, card-based payment has become is also becoming reduced now. Everybody is looking for cardless or contactless payment. That's one important trend that we are observing in 2022. And also important thing is this is becoming a permanent habit. So people are not ready to pull out a wallet and pay physical cash at all. The people are ready to pick up a phone, scan a QR code, or ask the merchant to send a payment link so that they can click on the link on their phone and complete the payment. So they don't want to even touch the keypad or any kind of a touch mechanism that is there to complete a payment at a merchant outlet. That is a scenario. So there is an impact as a result of this. And there is definite interest for us as architects, the payments technology architects, payments enterprise architects, and payments business architects. We need to see this from all angles and try to see that whether the ecosystem is evolving to support these kinds of changes. So this is how the youth are looking at it. People are expecting instant experience of the money. They want to see a lot of transparency in the payments so that they can trust you as a payment service provider. And they also see that it is a trustworthy brand. Otherwise, they don't want to start transacting with you. So there are a lot of fintechs who are doing this business, but how many of them are really making a differentiation? Are they really growing? Because they are not in a position to establish that trustworthiness. And at the same time, they want that it to be integrated and relevant to the scenario in which they are actually doing a transaction. So nobody is trying to do the morning they get up and start making a payment. It's not the case. So they are just using the payments as a mechanism to buy something or doing some kind of a transaction during the day. That's all. So this is something which makes payment relevant, and the technology associated with this would become relevant to us as enterprise architects, as well as making them meaningful in terms of experience to the customers. So what are the drivers to the change in this scenario? So obviously you have seen the customer pulse. You have seen how they are changing across the world. So what is the things that are happening under the hood is something which will be of interest because you are architects. And I will also definitely touch upon what is the change in terms of your career line, because there is one of the important considerations Suresh was talking about. Are there any career opportunities in this space? Yes, this is a place which is very hot in banking and financial services space. I'll try to give some ideas for you in case people as enterprise architects, as solution architect would like to switch. So this is a kind of a futuristic view which I visualized in terms of how payments market infrastructure is changing. So if you see from now to 3 years, there would be a set of hybrid networks which can cater to any type of a payment method and make that as a collection to any type of customer. But if you see the progression, it had been a specific guiding principle at each level of evolution. For example, across the world, foundationally, payments are becoming real time. And they are trying to make that available 24/7. So obviously, as enterprise architects, we need to see and think how these payment ecosystems are resilient and highly available. That's one important thing. Second thing is, are there any innovations from the merchant's perspective? So they call that as overlay services, and which gives a kind of an efficient customer experience backbone on top of a standard payment mechanism. So typically a payment mechanism is that I want to pay $1,000 to Suresh. It's a person-to-person payment. If it is a case that I'm making a payment to a merchant, it is C to B. If a merchant is refunding to me, it is B to C. If I'm making a payment to government, C to G is the kind of a scenario that comes out. So are there any value additions in terms of payments backbone in addition to becoming 24/7? The third aspect, which is becoming a standard now, is message format and scheme services harmonization. Across the world, a payment is exchanged in a form of a message. So there are multiple message formats. Now they are trying to standardize across the world. And the buzzword in the payments world is called as ISO 20022. So anybody having a skills in this using ISO 20022 and implementing that is a hot cake in the market. So that is right now what's happening. By end of November 2022, this becomes a normal in terms of the way the payment messages are exchanged. The next thing that would be happening on the frontier is decentralized cross-border. So in the sense, as of now, the payment architectures are hub and spoke models. So they are looking at an opportunity to take an inspiration from blockchain construct and see whether there can be a decentralized cross-border ecosystem that can come into existence. Some groups of banks are experimenting with this, and potentially next 2 to 3 years, they will start operating this. That's one important development that can happen. So anybody who are studying towards their blockchain experiences definitely will gain a lot of opportunity to work in this space. The third and last scenario would be that a hybrid network where you can think about a synergy between card networks, the blockchain networks, distributed ledgers, and standard central bank ecosystems that are there right now to clear and settle payments. So that is something which you can see beyond a year 3 from now. So that is the direction the payments are going. So each has a guiding principle on the basis of which the evolution is happening. And these are some of the examples where such innovations have happened. In UK, we call this as Pay.UK right now. And in Australia, we call it as New Payments Platform. In India, which is leapfrogging in terms of payments, at least it is 30 to 50 years ahead across the world. I can boldly say US payment systems are in Jurassic era now compared to India. So that is a kind of leapfrogging in terms of payments technology, the changes are happening. Now, as a result of these market infrastructure changes, there are various new methods of payment that are coming in. I don't have to enter a routing code. I don't have to enter a bank code. I don't enter a SAT code, etc. It becomes a tedious thing for me. If I know your email ID or a telephone number, which is very unique to you, I can transfer money to you anywhere in the world. And potentially in coming 2 to 3 years, it becomes instant as well. Overlay services is something which helps in C2B and B2C use cases where customer to business or business to customer transactions that becomes a lot of fantastic experiences can come in. Personalized QR code has become a fantastic example of cost effectiveness. Actually, personalized QR code is so popular in India and China that is giving a run for money to MasterCard and Visa. The reason is MasterCard and Visa, if you have to have a point of sale terminal, which is an expensive proposition for a merchant, but personalized QR code is very cost effective. It's least expensive way of making a payment at a point of sale if you buy it. So any neighborhood chai wala in India, a vegetable vendor on the roadside also are displaying their QR code. You can scan that QR code using your phone app and complete the payment. And it's the cheapest thing that is possible right now in these two geographies, and it is spreading across the world like a wildfire. So there are more innovations like request to receive and request to pay as well. But if you look at this, how are they changing in terms of solutions? Are payments engines, payment service hubs, they have become commoditized now. So it has become like out of the box, I just go buy a product and just deploy that. Overlay services are evolving. Financial supply chain is also evolving. Message formats is some area which is very niche right now, and that becomes a kind of a very hot area in terms of career people are looking in payments. And global areas directories will be another big bet because when banks and central banks, IMF and World Bank start embracing blockchain technologies and account tokenization, all of this becomes the new normal. Global areas directories and tokenized account wallets will become a hotcake in this market. So these are still maturing, and these are available in various forms and shapes. For example, in US, you might be hearing about Venmo, PayPal in the US. In India, Paytm has become a de facto standard.
Sridhar, are you there?
Sitting in Bihar are defrauding people across India. So there are certain series that are there. You can see how big it is and how important to us as architects to look into this space. So PCI DSS certified professionals, payments and cards industry data security standard certified professionals are in big demand in payment space. Are you ready for this? I think I will stop here. I'm ready to take any questions at this stage.
I think there are some questions, Sridhar. Let's look at those questions. Oh, geez. I got disconnected and I rejoined, so that the messages that were there, I can't see them. Can you?
I can see. Yeah, I can see one question at this stage. Is there a clearing authority for QR code system? Yes, we have one such, at least two such systems that are there. One in India. In India, we call this as UPI. And in China, it is provided by the Central Bank of China, but it is provided by Alibaba Group there, and financials they provide this. In India, we have a SDK provided by National Payments Corporation of India at a country level. You can have your own personalized QR code on your phone, and I can scan it and initiate a payment to you. So that is the beauty of this. But in other parts of the world, it's in bits and pieces.
Okay.
ISO is ISO 20022. This is a new message standard in payments. So there are many message formats and which are proprietary in nature, which are localized in nature, like ISO 8583, ISO 15002, which are very popular across the world. Now, what they are trying to replace them with ISO 20022, which is message rich, and you can do a lot more with ISO 20022. So that's the reason why payments ecosystems across the world is moving into ISO 20022.
Okay.
I think there is last question. Yeah, sorry, Suresh.
Go ahead.
Thoughts on telecom frauds and payment standards. I think that would be a detailed discussion. Probably I will not be in a position to answer about telecom fraud per se at this stage. But if payments standard, if you have to answer, PCI DSS is something which is a standard. Any industry who is entering into digital payments ecosystem has to be compliant with. There are 12 parameters in PCI DSS standard. Mostly across the world, none of the entities can comply with the 12 standards, but you can comply up to 8 standards. If anybody is in a position to comply up to 8 standards, the solution would be fairly secure. The Netflix program name, okay, it is the name of the series is Jamtara. Jamtara, it's a Hindi series. So that is a very good series which talks about payment fraud using social engineering. So Bhanu was talking about cloud security. This is another area. Yeah, that's correct. Jamtara.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sridhar.